Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Online. We have with us tonight, once again, the experienced trainer, mentor, guru of boxing, celebrating 50 years this year in boxing. Uncle James Ali BASHIR is on the line. Uncle, how are we doing?
We're doing fine, just great. Everything's going well.
Fantastic. 50 years in boxing, Uncle. How do you do it?
Passion.
Passion. Just passion?
Passion, desire. You know, it's something that I embraced a long time ago as a young child, going back many years ago. I embraced it as a young kid, and I never let it go. It became a lifelong passion for me.
What keeps you going?
Faith, faith and desire. That's all that I can say. Faith and desire is what keeps me afloat in this profession. I've gone through so much, and now that the smoke is cleared and I see where I'm at, I don't have any regrets about it.
50 years in the sport, that's 50 years, and some of it, as we know, the boxing world can be quite treacherous. You would have been probably backstabbed, side stabbed, front stabbed, all sorts of, people that you put your faith in.
Of course, that's life. That's life in general. I just saw something on the internet where it says that your biggest haters are usually people that are within your circle.
Your family.
Family and friends.
Yeah.
I find that to be very true.
Why do you think that? But why is that?
I guess it's the nature of people in general, The same thing that fuels racism, fuels jealousy. It's just something that's in human nature. I don't know why, but it's there. I can't put my finger on any one thing that could describe the makings of it, but it's there for sure.
Okay. Let us talk tonight about, there's a lot of things I want to talk to you about. And I'm not going to shy away from some things. I'm going to talk to you quite straight about quite a few topics, because there's some things that bother me, some things that I find quite alarming in boxing, and some things that I've noticed recently that I thought, so that's how it works. So first of all, let's get this rumor that's been flying around. Now, Vladimir Klitschko was rumored to be coming back on May the 25th. Okay. Then they said it was an April Fool's joke. Then Vladimir's come out and said, oh, I'm complimented that people feel this way. Never say never. But as for now, my status hasn't changed. So what is going on with Vladimir Klitschko? Money's been thrown at him. What is going on?
I'm as much in the dark as anybody else is. I spoke to him briefly a couple of weeks ago. We didn't allude to any conversation concerning or surrounding his coming back. But I believe, as I've always believed, that he will make an attempt to come back into the sport. When he first retired, I told you that I didn't believe that he'd got boxing out of his blood. He's been here in the Ukraine, sparring with the likes of USYK, and that tells me when you're sparring with somebody of USYK's caliber, there are things on your mind. You don't just do that for sport or just for relaxation. You do that for a reason.
Well, there are people in the boxing world that I've said this story to and told them that Vladimir's still sparring with top quality opposition, and they say, oh well, Vladimir says he's just doing that to keep fit, and that don't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either. I mean, if you're gonna do that just for the sake and the love of the sport, you can do it with lesser caliber fighters understand USYK. So USYK is at the top of the line when it comes to boxing.
Okay, so if you were going to be if you were a man that was going to say, I know you're not a gambling man, but if you were a man, let's say, I don't know, if you were to make an estimation, a percentage out of a bean pie, how much out of a bean pie, out of 100, out of the whole bean pie, do you think Vladimir Klitschko? Would you give me a whole bean pie on Vladimir Klitschko coming back, or would it be half a bean pie, or 3/4 of a bean pie, or 1/4 of a bean pie?
I'd say 3/4 of a bean pie.
3/4 of a bean pie tells you that Vladimir will come back.
Yes, I believe he's coming back. I believe that he will fight again.
Now, from Vladimir's standpoint, or if I were Vladimir, I'd be thinking, well, I dropped Joshua and I let him off the hook. Fury, I didn't throw as many punches as I could have done. And Wilder, well, I used to beat him up in sparring and dropped him in sparring. So surely I should come back. Is that the way Vladimir would think, with you knowing him so well?
Vladimir Klitschko is a calculated human being. Very precise, professional, and athlete. And he's not going to take anything for granted. He's not going to live on yesterday's memories. He's going to try to perfect what he might have done wrong in any situation, and he's going to try to improve on it as he goes. So if Vladimir Klitschko comes back and says that, hey, I'm going to fight Joshua, Tyson Fury, or Deontay Wilder, then you can believe he's going to be very well suited for the task at hand.
Do you think he'll employ you as his coach?
I don't know. I can't say. I can't say what he'll do, I mean, when you get guys that has success at the amateur level, he was a gold medalist, and he has success as a professional. He's a two-time heavyweight champion of the world. A lot of times, these people are comfortable in their situation. They say, well, I don't need, so much training. I don't need so much expertise from a trainer of my stature. I can do it basically by myself. I can do it if I had a window washer with me. That's how they think. Many of them. I'm not saying Vladimir Klitschko things like that. But I have come across people in the sport of boxing who's had so much experience that they feel that they do not need an experienced trainer like myself. They figure that they can do it with Tom, Dick, and Harry. For instance, in the Tyson Fury situation, he wanted a not so experienced trainer, and he's making things happen along with that trainer. So, I don't know, maybe Vladimir feels the same way.
What does it make you feel like, honestly, deep down, when you, with your experience, being pushed to the side for a less experienced trainer? What does that make you feel like?
It's like in any business, in any business, when you have somebody that's there that has labored the way I have labored in this sport, paid their dues in this sport, it's not a very comfortable feeling at all. To be upstaged by a younger and lesser, and I say that professionally, a younger and lesser knowledgeable boxing person. So yeah, it's not a good feeling. Everybody works to gain accolades. Everybody works for improvement. Everybody works for promotion. All of the years that Emmanuel Stewart was there, every time he left the camp for HBO or whatever he was leaving the camp for other fighters, he always left me in charge of the trainer's duties. Never nobody else. It was always me. He never, ever left that duty to anybody else when it came to Vladimir Klitschko. So to be upstaged by Jonathan Banks or anybody else, of course I didn't want to get up there. I'd be an idiot to say I liked it, But I guess he had his reasons, so I didn't cry about it. You know, long my paycheck doesn't change. I didn't care one way or the other. He feels that made him better. He feels that he was comfortable with that. So be it. But all I'm saying is, when you look at the situation, as my mother would say, the proof is in the tasting of the pudding. What happened? What was the results of him working with Jonathan Banks and others? You know, it's also a saying that too many cooks spoil the soup. So was Jonathan. It was Vitaly Klitschko. It was other people inside the camp that were saying different things, influencing Larry Klitschko's thinking. You know, he may say it wasn't, but I believe that it was. You know.
Do you think it's because you're not a yes man and you have your own opinions and you're not going to be a puppet or a or just accept what Klitschko tells you, and Klitschko runs the camp and you just keep quiet and take the money?
You know, I know what I know. I don't have to go out and beat my drums about what I've done, what my achievements are. It's there in black and white. I paid my dues. I've been there 50 years. I paid my dues. You know, I've been through the worst in boxing, and now I'm at another level with boxing where respect comes more fluently as opposed to yesterday. So, I mean, you know, see, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. There's always, I don't care what a person achieves. You as an interviewer, you know, a person that's a truck driver, a banker, you know, a dentist, a doctor, they're all gonna have their setbacks with other people that's in that field with them who think that they can do better. But when you look at the proof is in the tasting of the pudding. He went with the traineeship of Jonathan Banks, who was a very young guy at the time. Jonathan was 30 years old. I mean, at 30 years old, you're just coming into manhood, you know? And at the time, he was 8, 9 years old than Jonathan Banks. Jonathan Banks had been a sparring partner for Vladimir. I had trained Jonathan. I think I trained Jonathan for 3 fights. I had been working with Jonathan since he was 15 years old. So you bring in these people. What was the results? There was a steady decline after Emmanuel was too advanced. There was a steady decline. I can see if you bring a person in and then your stature and your statistics go up, but his stature and statistics went down. Down.
Why do you feel that was the case for Vladimir? And do you think we lost the best of Vladimir when Emmanuel Stewart left?
It could have been an emotional state. It could have been anything, any number of things. But I'm just pointing out that as far as career goes, he didn't do well after Emmanuel passed away. He didn't do well. I don't or can't say that was any one individual's fault, but I am saying that he did not do well. If you look at the Jennings fight, for instance, not the fight prior to the Jennings fight, which was also terrible fights. But if you look at the Jennings fight, and you look at the Tyson Fury fight, and then you look at the Joshua fight, if you study those fights, if you go to YouTube and study those fights, you'll see a steady decline. The Jennings fight, the Fury fight, and he rose up in the Joshua fight, but they dropped the ball. You know, the corner. You can only say the corner dropped the ball because Vladimir Klitschko was 41, 42 when he boxed Joshua, I believe. Joshua was 28. So when he had Joshua hurt, I could hear Emmanuel screaming and howling to the top of his lungs, go after him the next round, jump on him, gamble, go out there and roll the dice because you're the old guy in that fight. I don't care what kind of conditioning you have. I don't care what kind of meds you take or, you know, supplements you take. You know, you're the old guy, and that's not going to change. Joshua is the young guy, so he's more likely to have a resurgence in the fight as opposed to you getting one. So I can hear Emmanuel from the graves saying, go after him, roll the dice, go after him with everything you got this round. Do not let him recover. I can hear Emmanuel say that. But instead, the instruction was back off the rest of it. Take it easy and go back out there and work with the jab. No, that wasn't the proper thing to say, because once Joshua rejuvenated himself, he came in and you saw what happened. He took over. Youth. You cannot overcome the youth. I don't care what kind of training you did. You can't overcome that youth. And that's what happened. So there was a steady decline leading up to the Joshua fight. I think that I would have been better suited for that situation. But you know what? I also look at it like the Lord blessed me not to be there, because I wouldn't want any influence in that corner other than my own influence. I'm a boxing trainer, you know, at the top of my game, and I've got to have the attention of the boxer that I'm training. I've got to have it, you know, and it's some might say it's a selfish desire, but it's a calculated professional desire.
I don't think it's selfish. I don't think it's selfish. No, I don't think it's selfish, because when it goes wrong, you get the blame. So at least if it goes wrong, let you have full accountability for what happens.
Listen, I worked under a lot of good trainers over the years. Frank Shirley, Tommy Parks, Sam Solomon, Lee Black, you know, Carmine Graziano, Emmanuel Stewart. I worked under a lot of good trainers. I learned the old-fashioned way. I came up the ladder and I paid strict attention, but I never, ever, ever spoke in that corner. I never said a word. I just sat back and I did what I was told. That's what became the trainer that I am, because I learned the old-fashioned way. Now, young people come in and they want to talk over the lead trainer. They want to talk. And in my opinion, in my professional opinion, you can't get nothing done in a boxing corner with 10 people trying to tell the fighter what to do in 1 minute. 1 minute that boxer has on the stool, the boxer is usually exhausted. In some cases, he's been hurt a couple of times. He's got cut over the eye, cut maybe over both eyes, maybe a cut under the eye, cut lip, you know, and he's probably injured in the ribs or his liver or something. So there's a lot going on in that 1 minute, and he needs focused attention on what the trainer says, the one that's training him. He needs to look into the trainer's eyes and let that trainer know, assure him that I'm okay and that I can go on. But if you got 2 or 3 or 4 people trying to talk to him, you know, in between the exhaustion and the pain, it's a lot. It's a lot. And that shouldn't happen. It's not professional. It's just not professional.
If you were advising Vladimir, first of all, would you want to see Vladimir come back?
I think that Vladimir can come back. I'm a boxing enthusiast. George Foreman came back after a 10-year Rip Van Winkle. He went to sleep for 10 years and shocked the whole entire boxing world by saying, I'm going to make a comeback. And when he made that declaration, the boxing world harmoniously just laughed. This guy can't be serious. That's what the boxing world was saying. This guy can't be serious. He's been out 10 years. He went to sleep. He's big. He's fat. He's old. And he's going to make a comeback. He's going to be the laughing stock of boxing. And for a while, he was. Until after his 5th, 6th fight, he's knocking people out. Even though they were less than caliber, they were still younger guys. He was knocking them out. And he kept coming, and he kept coming, and he kept coming, and he kept coming until he won the heavyweight championship of the world. And it's not a mockery to see an old guy come back. And then you look at Vladimir Klitschko, the condition that he's in. I mean, if George Foreman was in no condition compared to Vladimir Klitschko.
Okay. Okay, I spoke to Justin Jones, a gentleman that you're training now, the heavyweight, and he said to me that he had the experience of being jabbed in the face by George Foreman at 54 years old. And at that time, George Foreman was talking about coming back again. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, you know, anybody that knows boxing understands that the last thing to go on any fighter is his punching power. If he lands a punch, he can still knock you out. You know, so anybody who would underestimate a guy like George Foreman will be making a serious mistake in doing so. So it's a calculated situation when you're in there with a guy like Foreman. You know, like young guys say, like, maybe thinking, I don't want to hurt this old guy. But then when he hits them, everything changes. You know, it becomes a struggle for survival there.
Mm-hmm. Ask Michael Moorer.
Yeah, Michael Moorer can punch. Michael Moorer was a dangerous puncher.
He was.
You know?
He was.
I shared some time with him. I did punch him, and I can tell you, Michael Moorer can punch. If he hits something, even today, Michael Moorer can knock it out.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so we talked about the Klitschko situation for one moment. Now, there is a story that's been going around the boxing world, I heard, regarding Alexander Povetkin coming back and potentially in the future fight Alexander Usyk. If that were to happen and your name was brought up as one of the main people to train Alexander Povetkin, would you train Povetkin against Alexander Usyk?
Please repeat your question.
I said, if there was ever a situation Alexander Usyk was to meet Alexander Povetkin, and
is it if or is there? If or is there?
Could be both. You tell me, because there's a story going about this. So I want to know your end.
A story about what?
About yourself being linked with a Povetkin potentially.
I'm a professional. You know, I'm a professional. In many cases, I'm a hired gun. Hired gun doesn't come in to change a fighter. He just comes in to tweak different things about a fighter. If the situation arises and I was invited to train anybody, then I'm going to train them because that's what I do. I'm no different from any attorney or any physician, any surgeon, any engineer, any carpenter. We take the assignments when we're contracted to do it. You know, I love Alexander Usyk. I love him like a son. You know, we got very close in the 3 years, the 11 fights that we worked together. We got very, very close, as close as two human beings can get. But he relinquished my services, so that makes me a free agent. So if I was requested by the Povetkin people to train him to box against Alexander Usyk, I would gladly do so. I would gladly embrace the opportunity. That's a high-level fight between two great fighters, you know, and two gold medalists and two world champions. So yeah, I would jump at the opportunity to train Alexander Povetkin to box Alexander Usyk. And I'll tell you something. If that situation arises, and I did do that, it would only make the best come out of Alexander Usyk, knowing that I'm the trainer for Alexander Povetkin. It would make the best come out of him. You know, and Usyk would embrace the idea. He would laugh at it. I know him. He'd laugh at it and say, come on, bring it. And he'd come to fight. It would be a heck of a fight between the two of them. It would be a heck of a fight. My biggest task in that situation would be finding a way to upset an Alexander Usyk He's a brilliant, brilliant boxer.
Okay. Out of the heavyweights arena, the heavyweights we've got today, the top 4, top 5. If you could pick one heavyweight to train to go against Alexander Usyk or to beat Alexander Usyk, and you had control of one fighter, which fighter in the heavyweight division would you have to make you as successful as possible to beat Alexander Usyk?
Oh my goodness, it's a difficult thing to find somebody to beat Alexander Usyk because it's hard to get a rhythm on his style of boxing.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very awkward but intelligently awkward kind of fighter. He can punch. He's extremely strong. He's a workaholic. He's not going to stop working. He's not going to stop fighting in that ring. You know, so, I mean, when you think of a fighter to beat him, you got to think of a lot of things. Not a guy, not a style. You got to think to match him up with somebody who has a mentality to coincide with his own mentality. He's a workaholic. He's not going to lay down. He's not going to stop fighting. He's not going to stop fighting. He's not going to stop fighting. He's going to fight until the last sweat drops from his brow. He's going to fight. And the person that you chose to fight him has got to be more than a puncher. He's got to be more than a boxer. He's got to be all of that balled up in one. So I don't know who it is out there right now. You know?
Okay.
Anthony Joshua was a very disciplined human being. You know, Deontay Wilder is a very, very powerful puncher. You know, but having said that, Usyk is a very, very experienced boxer. He's going to give the heavyweight division something to worry about. So I'm putting. If he hasn't put them on notice, I'm putting them on notice. Even if I'm training the boxer, I would make them aware of what they're up against. I trained this man for 3 years in a row, and I know the caliber of fighter he is. He's not going to lay down. He's not going to go quietly into the night. You're going to have to stop him. You're going to have to really beat his ass to make him lay down. And I don't see that happening right now from none of the heavyweights that's out there. I just don't see it.
Question being asked is a rematch between Alexander Usyk and Joe Joyce. How does that fight go, or does it make a difference?
I think that same thing will happen again, but this time a little more intense. You don't hear Joe Joyce calling out Alexander Usyk. I think if Usyk went against Joe Joyce or anybody else in the heavyweight division, you know, especially Joe Joyce, I think that the same thing would happen, but it would be more intense.
Okay.
I was here just 2 days ago. I was inside of a gym and I had my young boxer, Lance Sarenko, boxing Alexander Usyk. And I looked and studied how competitive Usyk was in boxing against Lazarenko. And here's a guy that's younger than Usyk by some 6-7 years. And how competitive he was in that boxing. I was advising Vlad to put a lot of pressure on Usyk and stay close to him. Don't stay outside and getting close. Vlad was telling me that, look, there's a price to pay when you get close to him. You got to be punching. I told him, you're absolutely right. You can't take no holidays with Usyk. You cannot take no holidays. You got to be working all the time.
So there are lots of boxing experts out there across Twitter, across the YouTube universe, none of them of which would have trained Usyk for 3 years like you did. So can you answer some questions for me? I know the answer to these questions already, but for the public that are listening, talk to us about the punching power of Usyk as a heavyweight. How hard does this man hit as a heavyweight?
Usyk is a very, very, very hard puncher. Does he punch like Mike Tyson? Does he punch like Honey Shavers or Sonny Liston? No. But it's not always the impact of the punch. It's the speed and the angles that those punches come from. A lot of times you don't see those punches, and the punches that you don't see can really hurt you bad. USYK is an awkward, very awkward boxer, but he has speed. And in that speed, everybody knows is if a car hits you, hits your car at 5 miles an hour, it will do damage. But if that same car hits your car at 75 miles an hour, then it does a lot of damage. That's Alexander Usyk. You know, I'm a boxing fan as well as a boxing trainer. My life into this. And I've always loved good, talented boxing. I love Alexander Usyk because he brings so much diversity to the table. He's not going to be easy to beat. I see him winning the heavyweight championship. I've seen that there. I've said that he won the heavyweight championship two fights after I started training him as a cruiserweight.
I remember you telling me he'd be the youngest man to win the cruiserweight title. He wanted to be the youngest man to ever win the heavyweight championship of the world as well. I remember you saying it.
Well, you know, he's just that kind of talent, you know. Joe Joyce, don't mistake me, Joe Joyce is a dangerous heavyweight fighter. And he's going to give the heavyweight something to worry about himself. But when I compare him to Alexander Usyk, no, I don't see what Joe Joyce is going to do very much with Alexander Usyk now.
Let me correct that. Not the youngest heavyweight, meaning what I was meant to say was the guy who got the heavyweight title in the shortest space of time. That would have been ahead of Leon Spinks if he had done that. Because Leon Spinks did it in 8 fights. But obviously, Alexander can't do that now.
No, Leon Spinks beat Muhammad Ali in his 8th professional fight.
That's it, yeah. So,
but Alexander Usyk upset Evander Holyfield's record in the cruiserweight division by taking the world championship in 10 fights. Evander Holyfield took 12 fights to win it. But I told Usyk as early as the 3rd fight, because of his amateur background, because of the status of the amateur background, that he could go up and take the cruiserweight championship possibly with 8-9 fights. I felt like he could do it then. We settled on 10, and he went there in Poland and upset the champion. Large margins. I mean, 119, 111, or, you know, 120, 109. It was just outrageous margins. It was like a boxing clinic.
Okay. How would Evander Holyfield have done with Alexander Usyk in the cruiserweight and at heavyweight?
Well, I think he would have had his hands full. Evander Holyfield was a tough guy, but I think he would have had his hands full. Because even with his toughness, Evander Holyfield had big problems with slick, quick boxers. Usyk is that slick, quick boxer that would give him angles like he never saw before. Chris Bird gave Holyfield big problem. James Toney gave Evander Holyfield big problem. So he always had problems with those quick, slick boxers. You know, Chris Bird handled him easily. You know, so I don't think Alexander Usyk would have been any different.
How does Usyk do with the Mike Tyson that knocked out Michael Spinks?
You're talking about a killer. Mike Tyson was a killer at that time.
That's what I'm talking about. That Mike Tyson versus Alexander Usyk.
Very, very difficult call. Because Mike Tyson at that time, he just needed to land 1 or 2 shots and it was done. You know, so, you know, I had to go with Mike Tyson at that time. You know, at that particular time, Mike Tyson was a killer.
Okay, Vitaly Klitschko, Alexander Usyk.
Tough call. Very tough call. Very tough call. I
Lennox Lewis, Usyk.
Tough fight, but Lennox Lewis wins a decision of Usyk. A big guy like Lennox Lewis that can box and use his strength and stuff is too big and too clever to get caught up into the stuff that Usyk does. But Lennox would control Usyk and keep him on the outside and probably win a decision.
Usyk, David Haye.
Usyk.
Why?
Usyk. His stamina, his style. He would. I mean, David struggled in a couple of those fights. You know. In the matter of fact, in one fight, the Monty Barrett fight, I thought David Haye was knocked out in that fight. I think the referee helped David Haye in that fight. You know, if you look back at the fight, I think David Haye was knocked out. I think Usyk stops David Haye.
But if David catches Usyk with that right hand,
Usyk may go down. If Usyk catches David Haye with the right hand, how about that? With his left hand, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean,
all right.
Usyk, I see Usyk going down in heavy. I see him going down once or twice at heavyweight. I see him going down. I see him getting going down. But the people out there do not know Usyk like I know. He's a proud fighter. He's not going to stay down. He's going to get up and he's going to fight. Right.
I'm going to get very kind of like my favorite fighter of all time is Sugar Ray Robinson, and he did try to move up to the heavyweight division. If you remember, Sugar Ray Robinson.
Light heavy.
Light heavy. Did he not move up? Did he not move up to heavyweight?
No, never.
Okay, so light heavyweight. Could he have had that fight with Usyk then? Ray Robinson, Usyk. Bear in mind the size.
Ray was a beautiful boxer, but I think Usyk beats him. Usyk just too strong, too diverse. You know, he beats Ray Robinson. You know, Ray would give a good account of himself, but I just can't imagine Ray Robinson enemy with a guy like Usyk, because Usyk is really a big guy. You know, he's close to like maybe 6'4" or something. He's a big guy.
James Toney?
That's a good fight. James Toney is a very, very good fight. James is two awkward guys, two slick guys. You can't pick a win in that fight. I can pick a win in that fight, but James Toney was a very good boxer. Very unique, very slick boxer.
Roy Jones.
Usyk.
Usyk beats Roy Jones.
Yeah, he beats him.
Prime Roy Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, he beats him.
Roy Jones that beats John Ruiz.
Yeah, Usyk beats him. Usyk beats him.
Damn. Okay, Ali versus Usyk, the greatest of all time.
Ali would have had his problems with Usyk, but I think Ali would have outplayed Usyk. Ali would have realized that this southpaw style is not easy to box, especially boxing an old guy like Alexander Usyk, you know? But I think Ali would have outplayed Usyk.
What about George Foreman versus Usyk?
George Foreman is like walking in a minefield. When you hear that click, you know you cannot change the pressure, you cannot move, or you're gone. But I think that Usyk style would have allowed him to beat George Foreman by decision. You know, sort of like Jimmy Young did.
Yeah.
You know, in and out, slip and slide, stay away from the big stuff. And as the fight progresses, Usyk would have become more aggressive and would have been letting his hands go more, you know. So I think that Usyk would have beaten George Foreman by decision.
Larry Holmes had one of the greatest jabs in heavyweight boxing. What about Larry Holmes?
Very difficult fight to call. And Larry Holmes and Usyk is about the same size. You know, about the same size. But very difficult fight to call. I thought that Maurice Harris beat Larry Holmes in the Garden. You know, I thought he beat him by unanimous decision. So I can see Usyk. Well, that was an older Larry Holmes. I'm talking about prime Larry Holmes. Against Usyk would have been a tough fight. A very, very difficult fight. But Usyk could do more things than Larry. Larry was basically a jabber. You know, Usyk could do far more things than jab.
Joe Louis?
Usyk definitely beats Joe Louis.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because of the slow feet?
Pardon me?
Is it because of his slow feet?
Because he was slow, period. He couldn't deal with that kind of speed, those kind of angles coming from a lefty like Usyk. No, Usyk wins that fight.
Rocky Marciano. I have to bring his name up. I have to bring his name up.
Usyk easy.
I have to bring his name up, though.
Usyk beats him easy.
Joe Frazier.
Tough fight.
That's the guy. That's the style I think beats Usyk. You know, that bobbing and weaving and coming in close and getting on the chest. That's the style I think would beat Usyk. But you would know more than I would.
That's a tough fight. Fighting Joe Frazier would have been a very, very tough fight. But Joe Frazier would have ate a lot of power shots coming in. He ate a lot of power shots, but that's what Joe Frazier did. You know, I'd have to pick Usyk by decision in that fight.
Dang.
I think he would have busted Joe up. He would have busted him up. But you know, having said that, Joe Frazier would have been a very, very competitive fight for Usyk. Very, very, very competitive fight.
The president, Ike Ikubuchi.
Tough fight. Very tough fight. I can't pick a clear winner in that fight.
That guy's, ooh, what a beast.
Because it's that factor. If you get hit, you know, if you get hit by these guys, they take you out, they can knock you out.
David Tua.
I looked at it like a Ikubuchi versus David Tua.
Yeah, exactly.
Pardon me?
Exactly. That fight is a good example of it, isn't it? He walked through everything.
The most punches ever thrown in a heavyweight fight ever, you know. And we would go on at it, but they were right in front of each other. They were right in front of each other. Alexander Usyk won't fight nobody like that. He's far too intelligent. He's like a computer out there. He's in, out, he's up, down, he's fainting, he's over here, he's over there. You just don't know where he's coming from. Those shots that he's throwing, the right hook, the left cross, they can hurt you.
Okay. Let's go. One more fighter that people would know. What about David Tua?
Usyk beats David Tua. He beats him on points.
What if he gets hit with that left hook?
I think he can take David Tua. David Tua. I think he can take his hooks.
Dang. Okay. All right. All right. Let's go with some.
Remember when I'm answering these questions, I've seen Usyk in the fight, and I've seen Usyk in sparring. The guy takes a good punch. I just think that the when people hear this interview, they're gonna be critical of me. They're gonna say that I'm prejudiced for USYK, but I know what I'm talking about, and the world is gonna learn what I'm talking about all the time. When he comes into the heavyweight division, when he starts upsetting people in the heavyweight division, everybody's gonna see what I've already seen. I've seen this in the second or third fight. I said, this guy has something special. I've seen the smaller session and I've seen the fights. And what the world doesn't see, they don't have any idea of what goes on in a sparring camp. What a fighter puts his body through every freaking day in those training camps. Those are the big tests for the fighters to survive a training camp. Because you got 4 or 5 guys that you hired to come in to beat on you. And those guys are trying to take your heads. Those guys are trying to make a name for themselves inside those training camps. And if you underestimate those guys, if you sleep on those guys, these guys can knock you out. So these guys are putting their bodies on the line every single day for sometimes 15, 20 years. So people have got to have respect for these guys. When they step in that ring, you got to understand what you're dealing with. You know, you're not, it's no cakewalk out there. But I saw early on in Alexander Usyk's career that this man is something special that comes along every 50 years. You might see a guy like Usyk. He's very, very special. And the world is going to see what I'm talking about. As he progresses in the heavyweight division, they're going to see just what I'm talking about.
Okay, let's bring Usyk to current day. Alexander Usyk versus Carlos Takam.
He beats Takam, maybe even stops him.
I said that. Second half of the fight, 6-7 rounds.
Well, you know, Takam is a tough guy. He's not going to lay down for anybody. But it's a good test for Usyk coming out the door as a heavyweight. I see Usyk stopping Takam, you know, or either going or beating him by decision.
Okay. I have to ask the question, Usyk, David Price.
Usyk beats David Price's ass. You kidding? He didn't stop David Price.
I have to ask. Right.
I don't think the Price belongs in the ring. Usyk stops him.
Alexander Usyk, prime Alexander Povetkin.
Styles make fights. In the current style that Povetkin has and still fights in is tailor-made for Usyk to outpoint him.
Okay. Usyk, Dillian White.
Tough fight. Dillian White has gotten progressively better over the last 2 years, or at least since the knockout loss to Joshua. He's gotten better. That's a tough fight. You know, it's a tough fight. It's hard for me to pick one in that fight.
See, check this out. People will think something's wrong here. People will think the great Joe Louis would get beat easy by Alexander Usyk, but Dillian White would be a tough fight for Alexander Usyk. Do you see that? And people will look at that and go, "What? Really?" Because I think sometimes we get caught up with the whole.
Well, if you look at Joe Louis's fights, Joe Louis had problems with Jersey Joe Walcott in the first fight. He had problems with Billy Conn in their first meeting. You see them alluding to slick guys, crafty guys is what gave Joe Louis problems. If Joe Louis could find you, he can knock your head off. But I'm saying Usyk is not that guy. He's bobbing, he's weaving, he's in, he's out, and he's a lefty. So I see him beating Joe Louis. The same way Walcott beat, the same way Billy Conn was. Billy Conn was a light heavyweight. He was taking Joe Louis at boxing school. If Billy Conn did that to Joe Louis, can you imagine what Usyk would do? No. I think Usyk, I don't regret saying that. Dillian White is a horse of another color. You know, Dillian White, like in the last 2 years, have improved immensely. You know, he has that taste in his mouth. He has that championship taste in his mouth. And now he's more difficult to beat, you know. He's more difficult to beat now.
Now, his trainer, Mark Tibbs, should he be given credit for the development and improvement of not just Dillian White as a boxer from just his technical standpoint, but his emotional standpoint, his spiritual standpoint? He seems a far more grounded fighter now and a far more professional fighter now than he did before, pre-Joshua.
Of course he should be given credit for that. He's harnessed all of the efforts that Dillian White are making now as a professional. So yeah, he has to be given some credit, some respect for his ability to move the guy in the right direction.
Okay. Luis Ortiz.
Looks like beats him. He outboxes him.
Easy?
Yeah, he outboxes Ortiz. Ortiz won't be keep up with Usyk. Ortiz is too old, too slow, too predictable. Usyk boxes easy. Usyk boxes rings around.
Why do people talk so much about Luis Ortiz like he's the bogeyman of the division? Why do people talk so much about him? But yet when you talk about Ortiz's achievements, they're not fantastic.
Well, I think that Ortiz has too much weight on him to begin with. And that weight can be an impediment versus Alexander Usyk. You know, it's too late in his career to change that weight situation. Usyk is a lean, mean, sleek machine, and he'd be moving and grooving and touching and sliding those left hands in, you know, sort of like he did with Glavatsky. He took that title from Glavatsky.
Yeah.
He's not going to be available for the big shots coming from Ortiz. He's just not going to do it. He's not that kind of guy.
Usyk versus Hrgović.
That's a tough fight. That's a tough fight, but Usyk outboxes him.
Did you hear about when Usyk was an amateur that Sean Porter beat him? I told you that story, didn't I?
What story?
That Sean Porter beat Usyk as an amateur.
That had to be a long, long time ago, so it holds no water with me.
I mean, you said that to me before as well.
Usyk had to be 13 years old and 2 feet tall and Sean Porter beat him.
Okay, let's go for let's continue for the heavyweight division. Who have we got? Bright Jennings, Alexander Usyk.
Usyk.
Okay, let's go next. I'm just going for the division. The guys that might probably get pulled up to fight Usyk. Andrew Ruiz versus Usyk.
Usyk beats him.
Joseph Parker.
Good matchup. Very good matchup. Usyk via decision.
Derek Chisora.
You know, Joseph Parker, I believe, can be a better boxer than what he has shown thus far.
I agree with you as well.
I just think that we haven't seen the best of Joseph Parker. I think the tools and the ability is there. There's something missing. I can't put my fingers on it, but there's something missing.
Maybe him.
I do believe that we have not seen the best of Joseph Parker. I don't know what it is, but something is missing. Something is missing in his mentality, in his style. I just think that he can be better than what he's shown. You know, but right now, looking at his style now, I don't think Usyk could win a decision over Joseph Parker. I would bet it would not be easy because there are different flashes that Joseph shows brilliance, and then he goes back into this shell. You know, so I don't know what it is that's missing, but I expect that Joseph Parker is going to get dramatically better or dramatically worse.
Shannon Briggs, prime Shannon Briggs and post-prime Shannon Briggs.
That's a difficult fight for Usyk because Shannon can box. Shannon was a boxer. He can box and he can punch. But Usyk would give Shannon fits. Shannon would not like to box with Usyk. Remember, I trained Shannon early on, and Shannon really didn't like boxing with Maurice Harris. He didn't like it. You know, he was uncomfortable boxing with all these guys. Maurice Harris was so slick, dipping, slipping, and sliding, popping and jabbing. He was just difficult for Shannon to keep away. Shannon did not like boxing with Maurice Harris. Jamil McClung did not like boxing with Maurice Harris. And it's a lot of heavyweights, you know, Andrew Galata, David Tua, you know, it's a host of top world-class heavyweights that did not like boxing with a slick guy like Maurice Harris because he gave the heavyweights pure hell. I mean, Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis, they boxed Maurice Harris a lot, but they didn't. It wasn't one of their favorite things to do. It's not like they went around with a poster saying, I want to box Maurice Harris. It didn't make that day when he showed up in training camps. So Shannon, I think that he would have avoided Usyk, and if he was in there, Shannon would have been looking to knock Usyk down, but he would not have been wanting to stand there and box with Usyk. Usyk is a boxer.
British boxing media has come in the room. Shout out to British boxing media. He's asking a question about the Klitschko comeback rumor. I think we touched at the top of the hour of the show. We mentioned that Uncle Bashir mentioned that if he had a bean pie, we said, because he's not a betting man, but if he had a bean pie, 3/4 of that bean pie he would give in terms of money for the percentage of how much he feels Klitschko is going to come back. So 3/4 of a bean pie. Prime Bernard Hopkins, somebody's saying, versus Usyk.
Usyk beats him. Usyk beats Bernard. Who? Roy Jones or Hopkins?
Hopkins.
It would have been an awkward fight, but I think that Usyk beats him. You know, Roy Jones bested him in their primes.
Yeah, he did. He made a mess of him. He did. So maybe not such a good idea.
Why? Because Roy was so awkward. He was coming at Bernard from different angles that Bernard just wasn't used to. And Usyk would be no different. You got to remember, Usyk is 6'4". He's a tall guy.
Okay. Let's work with, let's bring in, somebody mentioned Dave Allen versus Alexander Usyk. Well, I've got to ask you because I asked the question, but Dave Allen versus Alexander Usyk.
Usyk beats David Allen. David is coming on. He's a good fighter, but we're talking about two different leagues of fighters.
What about if Andre Ward moved up to fight Usyk for the Cruiserweight Championship of the World?
Be an interesting fight. It'd be a very interesting fight because Andre Ward has a beautiful IQ, boxing IQ. But again, I chose Usyk to beat him.
Wow. Okay. Anthony Josh. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not saying what I'm saying about Alexander Usyk unjustifiably.
No.
I'm saying what I've come to know.
But I'm noticing there are certain styles that you mention, you talk about, and certain mentalities that you talk about, and you say, "Oh, that's a tough fight. That's a tough fight. That's a tough fight." And you mentioned Dillian White would be a tough fight. Now I'm going to ask two more fighters, and then I'll probably get.
Dillian White would be a tough fight.
Yeah.
Because of his mentality. And his awareness. Dillian White is the kind of guy that's, listen, I'm not going to let some cruiserweight come up here and beat me.
Yeah.
I've done all this work to be here. Hell, I'm going to kick this guy's ass. I'm going to kick his ass. And that would make the fight perhaps more tough than ordinarily it would be. I respect Dillian White. I respect his desires to be there.
Absolutely.
I think that he's being avoided at the heavyweight level. I think that he should have been had a title. He's tight, and now he's got to fight another tough fight to get the title fight.
Okay.
It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. He should have been had a title fight.
Okay.
You know, with Deontay Wilder, or with Anthony Joshua, he earned a title fight, but they keep him out of the title picture because of fear or because of politics. I don't know the reason, but I do know that Dillian White deserves a title fight. He should have been back. It's not right.
Of course, it's not right. How does Anthony Joshua do against Alexander Usyk?
That's a beautiful matchup. I like it. I like the matchup. I like that matchup. I think that Anthony Joshua will get appointed by Usyk. I think he would. Anthony Joshua Usyk would appoint him. Anthony would have to lower the boom on Usyk and try to stop Usyk, but I don't think Anthony won a decision against Usyk.
Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk.
A battle of the awkwardness. You know, it'd be very, very difficult to say who would win. But if my back was to the wall, I'd pick Usyk by split decision. Because Tyson has some boxing skills to be a big guy like that. He has some quick boxing moves, and he's awkward. He's not that easy to box. Boxing Tyson Fury for the heavyweight division is like a nightmare. Anybody that's boxing has got to be aware that damn with Tyson Fury, he's not easy to box. As he gets older, maybe he'll stand still long enough for somebody to land on him. But right now, he's still very awkward, very quick, and not easy to box. It's not easy to box.
Deontay till this day, Wilder.
What do you say?
I said Deontay till this day, Wilder versus Alexander Usyk.
It's that factor. It's that right hand.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta watch that right hand, and while you watch the right hand, the left hook is getting better too. You know, I got Usyk to win that fight via decision. You know, but he's gonna have to have some night goggles to watch out for the power shots. He gotta have night goggles. If you don't see him, if you don't see those shots, you want to sleep.
See, out of all the heavyweights, I think Wilder's probably the most awkward of them all, simply because he carries that awkwardness, unorthodox punches, and the power that goes with it as well. If Fury could punch like Wilder, he'd be an absolute nightmare. Can you imagine?
It's always like that. It's always like that. One guy can box good, and the other guy possesses the power who can't box good. So it's always like that. It's always been like that. It seems to me it'll always be like that, at least in my lifetime.
So then who's the most perfect boxer you've come across then?
Heavyweight?
Yeah. Oh, one other fighter I didn't mention. Riddick Big Daddy BOWE against Usyk. Boxing the outside, can box on the inside.
Oh, he was a beautiful boxer.
There you go.
A beautiful boxer. He was a beautiful boxer. that would have been a hell of a fight. That would have been a hell of a fight. You know, I'd have to say Bowe would win a decision of Usyk.
I think I'll go with Bowe too. Yeah, Bowe, definitely.
Bowe knew how to keep a small fighter outside. Bowe knew how to reduce it to a boxing match. You know, I'd have to go with Bowe in that fight. I'd have to get Bowe to nod over Usyk in that fight because he knew how to box.
I think the Bowe that beat Holyfield, the Bowe that beat Holyfield first time round, that really Bowe that night.
Yeah, Bowe could box. He was a beautiful boxer.
Who was better between Bowe and Lewis, by the way? Who was better between Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis?
Who was what?
Who was better between Bowe and Lewis?
That's something we'll never know. I mean, Lewis beat him in the amateurs, but we'll never know it at pros. I think Lewis was a beautiful boxer. I think him and Ray Mercer fought a very tight fight in the Garden.
Ah, Ray Mercer.
And to this day, people say that they think Ray Mercer won the fight, and then other people say they think Lewis won the fight. It was a close fight. I was there. I was at that event, and it was a very, very close contest.
How does the Ray Mercer do with Alexander Usyk? Tough, can punch, big heart, great chin, likes to brawl, can fight on the inside.
I think Usyk would outpoint Ray because Usyk wouldn't get enough fight with Ray. Usyk is too clever for that. He would realize from the very beginning that Ray Mercer is not to play around with on the inside trying to fight. Usyk would just reduce it to a boxing match. He would box a little here, and then he would run across the ring and box a little there. And then when Ray slowed down, Usyk would begin to pick up on the combination punches. I think that Usyk decision is Ray Mercer, but I say that they're holding my breath.
Vladimir Klitschko, trained by James Ali Bashir, versus Alexander Usyk, trained by James Ali Bashir. Who wins?
I don't care who's training who to fight. Alexander Usyk is the tough fight.
No, but you're training Klitschko to beat Alexander Usyk, but you're also in Usyk's corner. So it's Bashir versus Bashir. Who wins?
It's a tough fight. It's a very tough fight. I'm telling you, everybody's going to see what I'm talking about. Everybody says to me, you overestimate this guy. You're making this guy out to be a world beater. He is the world beater. And they're going to see. I'm looking at Alexander Usyk versus Garcia at heavyweight. You know, at heavyweight. Garcia versus Alexander Usyk at heavyweight. That fight is something that's in the future too. But I'm telling you, everybody is going to see what I'm talking about. The curtains go down, they're going to find out that Usyk is a better fighter than what he's being given credit for. When I said that he beat Andre Ward, everybody said, you know, here you go again. He's saying, I'm telling you, he beat Andre Ward. Andre Ward is a beautiful boxer, a very intelligent boxer. He can't be no Usyk. No, can't beat him. Roy Jones can't beat him. I'm talking about just styles, not styles, my styles. Can't beat him.
Y'all must have forgot. Roy said you must have forgot.
And I'm a Roy Jones fan, you know. I'm an Andre Ward fan. I'm just calling it how I see it, you know. When they rumored that Andre Ward's going to fight Usyk, I said he's making a mistake. One that's going to haunt his history. It's going to haunt his legacy if he takes this fight against Usyk.
Damn.
Yeah. He's that good. He's that good.
I suspect I suspect, knowing Matchroom, based on their history, they'll jump on Usyk as quick as possible and try and get Joshua to fight him before he gets any better. Let's say before, like, maybe Christmas time.
Yeah, I think that Usyk is the #1 contender at WBO.
What do you think? If Joshua jumped on him, like, before the end of the year?
It doesn't make a difference. Usyk is already settled in his style. He's already settled in his style. Don't look for any change. Just look for him to perfect the style that he has. He's not going to change from that style. He's in a comfort zone with that style because it's done so much for him. I think that him and Andy Joshua is a good fight. I think the style matchup is beautiful.
Okay. Okay. Right. So we just talked a lot about Usyk, and I'm sure that the Ukrainian fans are going to love you for that. UA Boxing News is going to love you, Uncle. The sort of news you're giving them tonight. I want to talk about.
Hey, listen, like I said, I'm a boxing fan first and foremost. I'm a boxing fan. Then I'm a boxing teacher. Then I'm a boxing trainer. I'm a teacher, and then I'm a trainer. And that's where I separate myself from the whole group of trainers throughout the world. I'm a teacher. Teachers separate themselves from training. There's a lot of wanted trainers out there, and I see how they make mistakes over and over and over again. You know, they might have some mild success, and they think they have mild success that they can ride into boxing with that mild success. But no, you have to renew yourself all the time in this world of boxing. You can't live off of yesterday's victories. You have to keep renewing. You have to keep coming up with new ways to be successful in the sport. I'm big on Alexander Usyk, as I have been on Alexander Usyk from the very beginning, because he's something special, man. I'm telling you, he's something special. You know, and I'm trying to get the best that I can out of the boxers from Ukraine that I'm training now. Vladislav Tsarenko and Vladimir Kasuk from Odessa. A young man that I'm just starting with now. He's 1-0 as a professional. I'm doing all that I can. I'm trying to pre-flight, you know.
Okay.
But I'm very, very impressed with Alexander Usyk, and I have been from the very first time I observed him.
Okay. So you're full of praise of Alexander Usyk, but what about Vlad Tsarenko? How much praise do you have for him?
He's a young guy coming up, and I've invested myself deeply into Vlad Tsarenko, and I think that he's the next star that's going to come out of Ukraine at heavyweight will be Vlad Tsarenko. I'm very, very confident that Vlad Tsarenko is going to turn heads in the coming, let's say, the coming 8, 9 months, 8, 9 months to 15 months. They're going to hear a lot from Vlad Tsarenko, and I'm predicting that Vlad Tsarenko will be the next star to come out of the Ukraine. He can box, he can punch, he can take a punch. And if he keeps progressing the way he is now, I'm telling you, he's going to be a star. You know, he's going to be a star. I like him because he's easy to teach. He's very susceptible to knowledge, you know. I give him something, he devours it, he goes after it. We're going to fight in Germany in a couple of weeks. On the 27th of the month, we're going to fight in Germany. And he's going to show in that fight that he's making progression all the time, you know. But I'm very patient with him. He's a young guy. You know, this is his first time at the top in professional boxing. And he's getting better with each growing day. So it's a great, great appetite that to teach this young man because he's always eager for knowledge. He's always trying to please. And he's in there with what I perceive to be the best of the group that's out there right now. It's HOLYFIELD. They're boxing nose head to head every day, and I'm loving it.
Okay. So let us talk. When you talk about Vlad, I remember when you used to talk about Alexander Usyk and how it was, how close you guys were, and what's your relationship like with Serenko? Is it different to the Usyk relationship? Is it similar? Do they train similar? Do they train differently? What's their mentality like when you're training them?
No, Vlad Serenko and I are much closer than what me and Usyk were, because Usyk and I were only together inside of the gym, inside of the training camp, and then he went and did his thing and I did my thing. But Vlad Serenko and I, we are much closer because we are in closer relationship. I mean, we're in the gym together. We travel together. We do dinner together. We do a lot of things together, and that makes us a bit more closer than what Usyk and I were. Usyk, it was always somebody was always pulling at Usyk, or somebody always wanted something from him. So he was here, there, he was moving around a lot, And being the daughter he was, I understood that. But Vlad Serenko, when he has to go to these places, these different interviews and different engagements and stuff, we are usually together.
I remember having a conversation with you about Usyk, and I remember telling you and saying to him, I think that once he becomes world champion, you're gone. I kept saying it to you, and you said, no, that won't happen. That won't happen. I said, no, once he becomes world champion, I think he'll leave you. And no sooner than that happened, like a few months later, what? He ends up leaving you.
Fighters come and fighters go, But one thing they cannot take from me, they cannot take
knowledge.
My achievements.
No, they can't.
You cannot consider what I've done in the sport of boxing around one success story.
No.
I go past that, people ask me all the time, "Will you get back with Usyk and this and that?" My thinking is, no, I'm gone. Moving on. They say if you made Usyk, make another Usyk. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to do that in Vlad Serenko and Vladimir Kasuk. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to repeat that. I'm trying to breathe the life of success into these guys because I know what I'm teaching. If a boxer grasps what I'm teaching, then they'll have some measure of success. I cannot determine whether they'll be world champions. Only God and the boxer knows.
That's true.
But I do say this: if a boxer grasps on what I'm teaching, they'll have a great measure of success. They'll get to the top 10.
Okay. We had a gentleman on last night or night before last. We had Justin Jones, the heavyweight that recently is going to be. You're now going to be training out of Texas, unbeaten.
Yeah, I love him. He's a good guy. I love him.
Now, he's 36, 37 now?
He's 37 years old.
Oh, he's 37 years old. So what do you see in this Justin Jones that you feel that you can invest in your time in a 37-year-old who hasn't had any step-up fights, who hasn't really been tested?
His work ethic, his desire, his will to put his ass on the line when he's told to. That is what impresses me about Justin Jones. I get that all the time. People say, why would you invest your time into a guy that's 37 years old? He's 37 in age. But when people see him in the ring, they'll say, this guy doesn't fight like he's 37. Justin Jones gives me 101% of himself. I like his mentality. He's not a womanizer. He's not an alcoholic. He's not a drug addict. He doesn't have any of those distractions.
Or cancers, yeah.
That I've had in other boxers. you know, you encounter this kind of stuff in the sport of boxing. Boxing is not an easy sport. So a lot of times guys get involved in you know, drinking and smoking and women. These are big distractions going way back to the 1900s for boxers. I mean, when you're in a boxing ring, it's a tough business. And when you're out of the boxing ring, they say, hey, I want to let my hair out. I want to relax because I got to go back in that gym, back into that sparring camp, and I got to do the same thing all over again. I want to be successful. So like Justin Jones, he's a focused guy. He goes out and he does what he's told to do, and I don't have to pull teeth to do it. Yeah, I think that he's going to make noise. And when he's given the opportunity, I think he's going to make some noise.
Have you, I mean, I have to ask, have you seen him spar? Have you seen him take punches? Can he take a punch? What's he like under pressure?
Of course I've seen him. Of course I've seen him in boxing Vladimir Klitschko.
Yes, he was telling me about him sparring Vladimir Klitschko. Talk to me about that sparring.
And he was hurt. He was hurt.
Yeah, he did mention that.
He mentioned it?
He mentioned he got hit by, he said Vladimir Klitschko hit him so hard, him and Gassiev, but Vladimir Klitschko hit him and hurt him. And he said to himself, I don't want to give that right hand again.
But the thing was that when asked, are you all right? He said, I'm hurt, but I can continue. And that, to me, makes the difference in a fighter. You know, those critical little things that go on in the corner, I said, are you all right? Because I knew he had got hurt. So I was expecting to say, yeah, I'm hurt. Get me out of here. Yeah. I thought that Vladimir Klitschko hurt Michael Hunter one day in the ring. I pulled Michael out immediately. I said, get out. You know, Michael Hunter having pride and stuff said, man, I'm all right. I said, no, you're not. Get out. He said, I'm all right. I can continue. I said, get out of the ring because I saw he was hurt. Later on, Michael Hunter came back and said, thank you for getting me out of it, man, because I was hurt. I just didn't realize how hurt I was, but I was hurt. You know? Justin did the same thing.
Justin was telling that he was telling about that training camp where Vladimir was laying guys out flat in that camp. What camp was that, by the way? Because he didn't know which camp that was.
I think we was fighting somebody from Samoa.
Oh, what's his name?
It was a Samoan guy.
Alex Leopai.
Yeah.
So who else was? So who else was in that camp?
Yeah, two of the guys got knocked out in that camp.
What?
2 or 3 guys got knocked out in that camp.
Well, Justin said there were people falling all around him in that camp.
And because the guys were so short, it was a short guy, and that power was coming down on them guys, and you know that don't usually happen in Vladimir Klitschko's camp. But these guys get knocked out.
Who was in that camp, Uncle?
I think Adam Kanaki was in that camp.
Dang.
Justin Jones was in that camp. There was another guy that was from Samoa who was in that camp. You know, there's a bunch of not notable guys, but tough guys that could stand out. They was getting hit, man.
So even Kanaki, he got knocked out as well.
No. Kanaki he got hit and allowed me to tore bicep. He tore Kanaki's bicep, and that's why he sent Kanaki home, because the bicep was torn.
Dang.
But Kanaki was boxing Vladimir the same way he boxes. He was just coming forward doing what Kanaki does.
And when Vladimir was landing them big right hands, how did Kanaki respond to it?
Like Kanaki, Adam Kanaki responded the way that Adam Kanaki responds. He's a tough guy. You know, he's a tough guy. I don't know how long that style is going to last, but right now he's a tough guy.
Okay, a lot of people talk about him. They do rate him quite highly.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. I mean, it's not no game, not a joke.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Listen, Adam Kanaki I could see him winning the heavyweight championship.
Dang.
It won't be easy and it won't be pretty, but I could see him winning the heavyweight championship as well. He's a tough guy. He has a tough mentality. He has a lot of courage, and he's not going to lay down for nobody. I like him. I see the guy making headway in the heavyweight division. He brings a sense of thrill and excitement back to heavyweight boxing, because he's letting you know, I'm not no pretty boy, man, but if you want to fight, I'm here to fight.
But I need to update you tonight. By the way, Martin Bakole stopped Marius Vac in his comeback after getting beat by Michael Hunter. Stopped him. Knocked him out.
He stopped him?
Yeah, in the 9th round.
Good win.
You warned us about Michael Hunter when he fought Bakole, though.
I know Michael Hunter. You know, I've worked with Michael Hunter on a couple of occasions, and Michael Hunter is a really, really kept secret in the heavyweight division.
I've got my eye on him.
And anybody that's inside that ring with him better be otherwise they'll get their ass whooped.
I've got my eye on him. He's meant to be coming on the show soon, Michael Hunter. He's one of the guys I've got as one of the dark horses in the heavyweight division.
Michael Hunter is not no joke. Michael Hunter can box. Michael Hunter can punch. Michael Hunter has all of the ability to go up top and win. He's not no easy fight for nobody. And if you go in there sleeping on Michael Hunter, you wake up in the morning with a loss on your record. You know, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not in no hurry to box with him. None of my guys. I don't want them near. I had Blazarenko boxing Michael Hunter in Las Vegas, and that was some tough sparring. Blazarenko, I tell you, Blazarenko has been in there. He's been in there with Joyce. He's been in with Stavern. He's been in there with Michael Hunter. He's been in there with Alexander Usyk. Michael Hunter does not. I mean, Blazarenko doesn't shy away from good boxing. He's a very, very, very tough guy too.
We know Usyk beat Hunter before, but he seems a better fighter now than he was when he fought down at cruiserweight. How does he do now at heavyweight with Michael Hunter? I'd
like to see that fight again at heavyweight. Love to see that fight again at heavyweight, because Michael Hunter was giving Usyk contests in the first 4 or 5 rounds. But I would like to see Alexander Usyk and Michael Hunter box again at heavyweight. But I'd like to see it. Michael Hunter is focused and he's in shape. No, he's going to come in probably 214, 215 at the most. But man, he has some tools. He does.
He does. He is
to be marveled.
He's my heavyweight champion in waiting, Michael Hunter.
Yeah. He has tools. He has tools to be marveled. I'm telling you, the guy has tools. You know, he has a lot of tools.
How does Michael Hunter do against Joe Joyce?
I think Michael Hunter takes Joe Joyce to boxing school. I think Michael Hunter beats Joe Joyce by decision.
Michael Hunter, Daniel Dubois?
Tough fight. Tough fight. Is that Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce is getting their fight?
Yeah. Who wins that?
2 weeks?
I hope that. I don't know, because Dubois is fighting soon. And then they're gonna try and go after that. He's fighting Richard somebody, Larty or something like that. That's who Dubois is fighting next.
Who's Dubois fighting who?
Richard Lartey, or something like that.
Oh, I thought that him and Joe Joyce was going to fight for it.
Him and Joe Joyce are meant to fight after that.
Okay. I thought they were going to fight.
Who wins?
Okay. I don't know. That's just I've got to see more of I got to see more of his style. You know, I got to see more of his style with better fighters.
Okay. All right. Nathan Gorman. What were your thoughts on Nathan Gorman?
Nathan Gorman seems to be a pretty tough fight. I'd like to see Nathan Gorman and Michael Hunter fight. That's the fight I'd like to see. Nathan Gorman and Michael Hunter.
That's a tasty fight. I won't want Gorman anywhere near Hunter. No chance. No. Well, I stay Gorman well away from Hunter. No. I don't think he beats him. I don't think Gorman's got any business being anywhere near Hunter. Hunt is one of them guys that you just don't fight unless you have to fight him. He's one of them guys you don't fight. He'll make you look bad. I'd like to see Justin Jones in with Dave Howland. I'd like to see Dustin in with Cash Ali, David Price, Sam Sexton. So would you be prepared to ball? What about bringing Serenko and Justin Jones over to the UK? Yeah, I'd be in for that. You'd like? What about Justin Jones, David Price? Yeah, I said David Price. I'd be down for that. I'd like that fight. Do you think? I'd like the Cash Ali fight. I like the Sam Sexton fight. I like the David Allen fight. These are the fights that I would like to see Justin Jones in. You know, just to get back into the fray of boxing. Okay. What about, where does Hughie Fury fit into all of this? Hughie is still there, you know. I mean, I'd rate Hughie in the top 25 because he's kind of lost. I think he lost 2 in a row. Am I right? Who's that? Hughie. Yeah, he fought Pulev, and then he fought Pulev. And before Pulev, who did he fight? He won a fight. He fought Pulev. Joseph Parker. Yeah, he fought Parker, and then he came back and he beat Sexton, and then he fought Pulev. Mm-hmm. So he's not in a good place right now. I just need Justin Jones in comparable fights. I don't want to put him in deep in the first fight. At 37 years old, I can't make mistakes. I've got to get it right the first time. Yeah. Because any losses where he's expected to win would relegate him to journeyman status at 37. Yes. So at 37, I've got to move carefully. I've got to take Dave Allen. It's a good fight. Cash Ali is a good fight. David Price is a good fight. Sam Sexton is a good fight. But Hughie and Daniel DuBois and Joe Joyce, that's another league right now for these guys. Nathan Gorman is tough too. So what's this guy Justin Jones' stamina like? He's got good stamina. That's why I said people will see when they do see him, they'll realize that he's not just your ordinary 37 years old. He works really hard. He's in great shape. He has great mentality. Is he going to be like a Amir Mansour type of thing? No, I think he's a little better than Amir Mansour. Amir Mansour was a little guy. Amir Mansour was a little guy, but tough and dangerous. And I think that the heavyweight division did him injustice. They avoided him. They slipped and slid and stayed to the side until the guy got old. And now he's just like an opponent now. Yeah. Because what else can he be at 40-something years old? At that height, that size. But is it what Jones is around that size as well, isn't he? 6'2"? Yeah, Jones is 6'2". Same height as Mansour.
Yeah.
But is he bigger than Mansour?
Well, Jones is 240. He's 240 and Jones. Well, both guys. Amir was just a southpaw, but both guys are hard punches.
Yeah, they are.
And the guys that size, those are your custom. Those guys are your classic heavyweights, 6'2", 6'3". Amir Mansour was avoided by the division. They basically, his pleas for big fights just basically fell on deaf ears. They just ignored him. They just ignored him. I think his big shot came with Dominic Brazil, and he showed up in that fight. He showed up in that fight. What a tough fight. What a tough guy. Respect for Amir Mansour.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but his day in the sun is coming to an end now. He's too old.
Do you think this guy, just Justin Jones, has got what it takes?
I'll put it to you like this: if I didn't think he had what it takes, I wouldn't waste time with him. I wouldn't spend my bills like that.
Well, hold on.
No,
hold on a second.
No professional can do that. No professional can do that.
Look, I don't want to be critical of your work, but recently one of your fighters from South Africa, I watched the fight, and he didn't throw a punch over 10 rounds. Or he hardly threw punches over 10 rounds. This is a guy that you had some faith in. So for me,
that was disheartening. It's sad and disheartening, but it's the nature of the business, you know. The only thing I can do is put him in the venue. The only thing I can do is train him, train his mind, train his tools, and put him in the venue. Once that bell rings, you're on your own out there, man. You can come in the corner and I can tell you X, Y, Z, but when that bell rings, you got to get up there and you got to perform. You know, you got to perform. When you get up there, you have to perform. And he didn't do it. He did not do it. He did himself a great disservice in not winning that fight.
Now, go ahead.
So now he's got to fight from under the bottom. He's not at the bottom. He's under the bottom. He just got to fight now to get back to the bottom and then go up. Because I think that fight put him under the bottom. You know, he should have won that fight. You fight a short, old guy, and you let the guy beat you by unanimous decision. Oh my goodness, it was a great disservice. You know, I can't fight for you. But I can't throw a single punch.
Do you doubt your own judgment after you've invested in a fighter and you think a fight can do A, B, and C, and a fight does you X, Y, and Z?
Ask me the question again.
Do you question your own counsel when you think a fighter can do A, B, and Z, and that fight ends up doing X, Y, and Z?
Well, it's just like a parent sees certain things in their children when they're rearing them. You know, they see certain gifts that the child has. But whether that gift comes to fruition is totally on the child. The parent is rearing and guiding and teaching and giving and applying, but it's up to the child to accept it, embrace it, and run with it. So I don't have any second thoughts about what I'm doing in the sport of boxing when I see a guy that has something. More so than anything else, a guy got to show me willingness to listen, willingness to work in. Those are the two things that I'm quick to embrace, that I'm quick to go forward with. When I see that these guys want to work. In boxing, you got to work. There's no shortcuts in boxing. You've got to work. You've got to do the work. If you don't do the work, nothing's going to happen.
So you can just give them the tools to do the job, but ultimately it's the fighter's job to perform in the night.
You gotta go there and perform. And Ruan Vissa didn't perform. Ruan Vissa was his worst enemy that day. He was his worst enemy. So if Ruan Vissa went back to his hotel room and kicked his own self in the ass that night, well, I say to him, you need to do a really good job because you should have won that fight. My thinking is, I thought I had a guy. I thought we gonna knock the guy out. I thought for sure that Ruan Vissa was gonna knock this guy out.
So when your fighter is not throwing punches in a fight, and he comes back to the corner and he keeps going back out and he's not throwing punches, does that disconnect because the relationship isn't what it was, or wasn't where you thought it was, or is it the fighter's frozen, or is it something totally different?
Only God knows and the boxer knows what happened that night. But I don't think that falling to pieces in the corner, shouting and yelling and screaming, get up and do something. That's some training style. It's just not my style. You know, and I have a great difficulty in it becoming my style. Come back to the corner. I told him, I said, you need to stand still and punch. You know, you need to roll the dice. You need to hit this guy in the body. This guy was 280 pounds. It was meat all over the place. It was meat for the whole African nation. You know what I'm saying? Just hit him in the body. You know, I implored him to hit him in the body. I implored him to use this double jab and straight right hand. You got the height, you got the reach, you got every single thing working to your advantage. But nonetheless, it didn't work. And I was disappointed. He had to be disappointed with himself. He has to, even to this day, got to ask the questions about what happened that night. You can't get that night back.
You did trigger off an old memory. Actually, it was a fight, Ray Mercer versus Lennox Lewis, and Mercer goes back to the corner, and the trainer says, "Just whack him." I thought, you paid all this money for a trainer to tell you just whack him. I'm thinking to myself, what is this? So you're talking about all these instructions that you're giving your fighter to respond to, and then you've got trainers out there that are getting paid certain amounts of money to tell the fighter to just whack him. I mean,
well, that was an old school guy to tell him Ray Mercer to do that. You know, that was an old school guy. It was one of the guys I learned from. That was his that was Tommy Parks.
Was it?
May he rest in peace. He was a good trainer. He trained Bobby Chance. He trained Charles Murray. He trained a lot of good fighters. And he was a very knowledgeable guy. But out of frustration, he said, just whack the guy.
I find it one of the most hilarious moments in boxing. I'm like you're in the corner. The commentators, let's listen to the corner Ray Mercer. Just whack him. That's what you're thinking to myself.
He was telling Ray in so many words, you don't have to stand around waiting. I'll just whack the guy. He's right in front of you, whack him. You know? So, you know, and going back to Ruan Vissa, he just went through the punches. I don't know what happened. You know, I don't know what happened. Throw punches, man. You have to throw punches. And I warned him as early as the fourth round. I said, okay, settle down now. You got these rounds out of the way. Settle down now and go behind your jab with right hands. I said, and body work is not out of the question. I tried cool and as calm as I always am in the corner. I'm always cool and calm in the corner. You know, because it's not a shouting session for me. I just tell the fighter how it is. I mean, you can look back on the fight with me and Maurice Harris versus Chris Bird. I told Maurice, I said, hey, man, you fall behind in this fight. You know, you've got to do more with your jab. You've got to do more with your aggression. You can look back on the fight with Maurice Harris versus Sergey Lakovic. Maurice was dead tired. He was tired. He was really tired because it was a grueling, tough fight. I simply said to him, listen, take the half step back. This man is tired. Just take a half step back, right hand, left hook, and we can go home. And that's exactly how it went down. But I said it to him in a cool, calm, collected voice where he could understand. But if you're screaming and hollering at the fighter's already not having a good name. That's only going to confuse him.
Well,
sometimes it even closes the door.
Well, there are some people who would disagree with you and think that if you treat your fighter like a fireman and start shouting and screaming in the corner to him, that somehow that's good. Teddy Atlas. People rate him because he shouts and his fighters in the corner. Do you want me to fight him for you? Do you want me to fight him for you? I'll get a gum shield. I'll fight him.
Different styles. My personal feeling is, I know as a boxer, if somebody started shouting to me, one guy always had cigarettes on his fingertips, and he put the mouthpiece in. That would turn me off. When he put the mouthpiece in my mouth, I could smell this tobacco. It would turn me off. It would make me just don't want to be there. So it's the smallest things that can kill the desire of a fighter's efforts. You know? And when he put that mouthpiece in my mouth and I could smell those cigarettes, I didn't like that, and that was a big turn off. Then if the guy was screaming and hollering at me, it was just like a whole bunch of words mumbo jumbo to me, because I would just shut down mentally. I don't want to hear it. You understand? So I took a page from that book. I said, I'm not going to do that. If and when I ever become a trainer, I'm going to be a little more civil in the corner. So I try to I only got 1 minute. And one of the easiest persons for me to talk to was Lieutenant USYK, and he is a guy that's Ukrainian. He understands English, and I would talk to him nice and cool in the corner, and I always got positive results from that. Maurice Harris was another guy. I always spoke to him nice and cool in the corner, and I got positive results from him. So I think that different styles, either make or breaks the fighter. I have my style just as every other trainer out there has his style. But my style is not to lose it in the corner. You can't lose it, because when you fall apart, in most cases, not every case, but in most cases, the fighter falls apart too.
Do you think Renvis got clipped with something early, nasty, and he thought, you know what, I don't want to get hit by this guy again, and I might get knocked out tonight, so it's better I just keep it a distance and not engage?
Did you ever see a picture of Ron Visser and Elvis Boyle standing together?
No, I didn't.
Ron Visser is like a giant over here. Ron Visser had to have at least 7-8 inches in reach, 4 or 5 inches in height, at least 8 years in youth. Come on, man, come on.
What about the height in the heart, though? How much heart did he have? If you've got a tin heart, it don't matter about height and reach. If you've got a tin heart, as you know.
The one thing I always stay away from, I don't never question the fighter's heart.
You say that, but
I don't question it, because they got the heart enough to get in that ring. That's enough for me. You
need him to dig down deep. I mean, that means people like Sugar Ray Leonard, when he was on the stool and Angelo Dundee turned and said to him, "You're blowing it, son. You're blowing it." He had to dig down deep. I mean, he had heart to get in the ring, but it was balls of steel he needed.
I told Ron this. I told him from the forefront on, you've got to do more to win this fight. You've got to do more. I told him over and over and over and over again. You know. But I couldn't get him. I couldn't get him to cross the line. I couldn't get him to do it. He wouldn't do it. So we don't know what happened in the fighter's head that night. You know, I don't know what happened. But he realized at the end of that fight, he realized that he blew it. He knew he realized it. He had to realize that he blew it. That he blew it, you know. So, so to learn. So let's learn. Maybe he'll get a rematch.
Okay.
But if he does get a rematch with this guy, he needs to get that rematch within the next 6 months.
Okay.
Because it won't mean as much a year later. Now this boy is 35 years old. So if he does it next year, it won't mean much. The validity won't mean as much. He needs to get that rematch in the next 3 to 6 months.
Pronto.
And he needs to go in there and knock
this guy out
the way he should have done in the first fight. He needs to knock him out.
Yeah.
He don't need to go the distance again. Going the distance again for the 35-year-old guy, 280 pounds. You're 6'9", guy is 6'2", 280 pounds. Can you imagine? He could have fed a whole village with the fat that he had on his body. You know? So he needs to go back in there and he needs to knock him out to make a statement like, hey, that was a bad night for me. You know, I was sleeping on the beach all night, but tonight I'm woke. So he needs to go back and clear that up.
Well,
you know,
it might be the making of Ruan Vissa, or it might be the breaking of Ruan Vissa. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, I hope so.
Right. I want to give you a scenario and I want to see how you see what your advice would be. Okay. Let's imagine you've got two promoters. These two promoters have a monopoly on TV and TV, and they're the ones that are going to get you the TV fights. Then you have two other promoters that they can get you TV fights, but usually they work with the main promoters. And then you have gyms that are separated. So the two gyms would have, connected to the main two promoters, would have fighters that come out of the Olympics or fighters that come out of the ABAs and national championships. They have pedigree. And all the other gyms and all the other fighters are guys that have got limited amateur backgrounds and haven't had many amateur fights. Does it mean, because the guys that have limited amateur fights, does it mean that they will fight, regularly, but those guys they will fight will be journeymen with losing records, so they build up an unbeaten record until the time comes for them to fight on the big event? The big event will be a TV show, and on the TV show, then these amateur champions, these Olympic champions, these gold medalists will fight against the guys with the limited amateur experience who've been fighting nothing but journeymen against the fast track fighter. What ends up happening 9 times out of 10 is that the amateur guy, the guy who's got the amateur experience, gets beaten up, and the guy that's the Olympic champion or the ABA champion goes on and has a stellar career. How do you break that mold? How do you stop that from happening? Because that's the way they churn out fighters.
Well, that's something that has been in place since the beginning of time, especially in the sport of boxing. It boils down to the individual, because there are lots of individuals in boxing who don't have that stellar amateur career, who come into boxing with a 50-50 amateur record. Somehow they rise up of their desire and their work ethics. But that's something that's been in place for a long time. It's very difficult to change that.
Okay.
You know, because boxing needs opponents to survive.
So basically,
You don't have no opponent. If you don't have opponents, then boxing would die.
So basically, these young lads now today that have got records of 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, they've got no amateur experience or very little amateur experience. They're basically being trained without them even knowing to being glorified journeymen. Is that what the plan is for them?
The best thing that I can say to those young men and women is to align themselves with a good teacher. When you have a good teacher, it does not make so much of a difference if you don't have the amateur experience. You replace the amateur experience with a good teacher, and that will bring you forth on the same level as those Olympic stars. All right? I know I've done it. I know what I'm talking about. I've done it. I had Maurice Harris, who had only maybe three to five amateur fights. And he was in the midst of the who's who of the heavyweight division. He came from nowhere all the way to the #1 spot, not one time, but twice. And he didn't have no amateur, he didn't have no amateur background at all. But he was in there with the who's who of the heavyweight division. Because he had a good teacher in me. And we went together and we did a lot of things in heavyweight boxing. At that time, we rose up. And I had him in there with killers, man. David Tuga, Hassan Rockman, Andrew Galata, you know, Lennox Lewis, Mike Titan, and he more than held his own against all of those guys.
Wow.
So when you don't have the amateur pedigree, the best thing that these young people can do is to try to align themselves with good teachers, not some hot shot fly-by-night wannabe, but good, proven teachers, and that will get them there. I'm telling you, Maurice Harris had a losing record, even when I came in the door with him. I trained him early on in the amateur, and when he first started boxing.
Right.
And he disappeared. And when he came back, he disappeared for about 15 months. But when he came back to me, he had already turned pro at 16 years old. I said, what did you do that for? Well, I needed the money. Dang, nothing to do about that now. So at 16 years old, he turned professional. And he came back to me with 5-5 record or something.
Okay.
Where he had just been taking fights to make money.
Right.
And when he came to me, he signed a contract with me to manage and train him. And the very first fight I put him in was in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And I put him in against, at that time, you remember David Eisen?
Dave Eisen, yes I know. He was unbeaten.
I put him in with David Eisen. And at the time, David Eisen was 17-0 with 16 knockouts, undefeated. And I remember being in Atlantic City with Maurice Harris, who was coming from dinner the first night we was there in Atlantic City. We stayed there the week before the fight. We stayed in the hotel. I wanted him at the fight night.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember someone, along with the commissioner walking up to us, saying to me in front of Maurice, why would you put Maurice Harris into a ring versus David Eisen? No one was going to happen. I said, I don't understand what you mean. Now, mind you, Maurice Harris is standing right there when this is going down.
Wow.
Why would you put him into a fight where you know he's going to get knocked out if you care about him? I was so angry. I was so infuriated by those words. I lost it. I said, first of all, I don't believe that Maurice Harris is going to lose this fight. Secondly, we observed this guy before we took this fight. And Izan was 17. It was a 17 pro fight. He had 16 knockouts. And we had watched the fight. And I asked Maurice. We watched the video of him. I asked him, I said, can we beat this guy? He said, I can beat him. Make the fight. I asked the fight. He told me, make the fight, I can beat him. I said, okay, I'm going to make the fight.
And he went out and beat him, didn't he?
He beat the bricks off of him. And Maurice got knocked down in that fight. He went down. David Izan was a murderous puncher. He could punch. He dropped Maurice, I think in the second round, he dropped him. And Maurice got him up that floor and took David Izan to school. And I walked over to that person from the commission. It was somebody in the commission office. And I walked over to him right while I was in the ring. I said, so what do you think about my decision now? What do you think about that decision now? So in short, even though Harris didn't have the amateur pedigree, I put him in with a guy that was well-traveled. I think Izan had won a silver medal or something. But I put him in here with a seasoned guy that can punch, that can box. And Harris took him to school. He spanked him. I took on James Thunder.
Yeah, I'm with James Thunder.
With 6-7 days notice. Again, people were ridiculing me for taking the fight. Why would you put him in there with a puncher like Thunder had just knocked somebody out in the first round, a vicious knockout. And people started criticizing, but I knew what I had in Harris. I knew the kind of quality that I had in Harris. I knew that this guy could thread the eye of a needle on any given night. You know, if I had his mind, not his heart, his mind, I knew what he can do. And I put him in there, and he knocked him down. You know, Jeremy Williams, he beat so many fighters with all these great amateur backgrounds. But you got to know the quality of the fighter that you have when you're teaching. I knew what I had in him. We made great strides together in boxing. Maurice Harris and I'll never forget him. I honor him and respect him to the day I died because I was able to achieve so much. And a great deal of my credibility in the sport of boxing is due to the work that I've done with Maurice Harris. You know, he was my calling card when I came into Mike Tyson's camp. Harris was my calling card. When I came into Lennox Lewis' camp, Harris was my calling card. When I came into Andrew Galata's camp, Maurice Harris was my calling card. This was a young kid that had a boxer's IQ. Everything that I taught him, he soaked it up like a sponge, and he went out there and he did what he was told to do.
That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, because he depended on it. Maurice Harris didn't want to be in that ring. He never wanted to be in that ring. So he depended on what I told him. Okay, I mean, when I was talking to him in the corner, his attention that he had paid to me was as though we were doing a bank robbery or something. He would look at me and we whisper in the corner, yeah, you want me to do it like this or like that? Okay, yeah, I got you. Yeah,
I got you.
It wasn't like we was training in a boxing contest. It was like we was doing a armed robbery or something. Like we was getting ready to rob a bank or something. That's the kind of attention that he would pay to me. This is the kind of attention he would pay to me. Yeah, I got you. You want me to hit him in the body and then come back? Okay, yeah, I got it. And he would go out there and he would do it. You know, because he depended on that. He wanted to get out of it as quickly as possible. You know, he wanted to get out of it. So, yeah, I respect him. I have great respect, great admiration for him because this guy could box. And he was my calling that's how I was able to get in those camps, because I had the goods. And when they saw them, I was in a gym, a Marciano gym up in Jersey City, New Jersey. And at the time, there was Jamil McCline, Hassan Rockman, David Toole, Cedric Boswell, Andrew Galata.
Who's who of the heavyweight division?
It was who's who of the heavyweight division that was in that gym.
Wow.
And none of them, when I would come and say, is anybody working here? Everybody would say, nope.
No Maurice Harris.
Nobody wanted to be in that ring with
Maurice
Harris. None of them. I'm telling you. All right? I got respect for Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson would box Maurice Harris under the table, on the table, and back of the table. Mike Tyson didn't care if he had a good day or a bad day. Mike Tyson said, I want him in the ring. I want him in the ring. Mike wanted to knock Maurice out. He wanted to knock Maurice out, because Maurice was such a problem. He wasn't satisfied unless he had Maurice on that floor. I want to knock you out. And Maurice used to be putting it on Mike. He used to be putting it on. And every now and then, Mike would catch him. And when he catch him, he'd put him down.
Keep him honest.
But Harris, I have great respect for him. Great honor and respect for him, because he did what he was told to do. He always did it. In the fight, in sparring, we went everywhere together. In fact, he probably made more money sparring than he did in the fight, because people respected his ability to make them work hard, and he made it look easy.
Of course.
So when he boxed guys like David Tyson, I wasn't afraid. I slept good that night, and Harris slept good, because I showed him the video. And Harris admitted this fight. He said, I can beat that guy. Guy's too slow. He's too this. He's too that. He can't beat me. I said, you sure? He said, I'll make the fight. I made the fight, and he came through in flying colors. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube. Go to YouTube and watch the fight.
Yeah.
You tell me what you'll see something amazing. Amazing. All right?
Okay.
But he was my calling card, and so I'll always have respect for him. I have great respect, great honor, and respect, because people don't understand boxing ain't no game. And he was in there with the who's who of the division, and none of those guys, and I'll say that on national television, none of those guys, when I came in that gym, none of those guys were interested in boxing. Shannon Briggs told me, he said, man, this guy got eyes in the back of his head. You know? Shannon told me, he said, I tried to knock his head off. Him and Shannon had some kind of squabble about the sparring.
Okay.
And Shannon said when Maurice walked past him, Shannon tried to sucker punch him. Shannon said that I tried to sucker punch him. And he said, man, he made me miss the entire punch, and I was off balance. I didn't know where he was.
Dang.
Whether he was in the back of me and in front of me or the side of me, Shannon said, I don't know where he was. So Shannon automatically went to the defensive posture because he didn't know where Maurice was. You know? But that's how bad. And Shannon refused to box him.
Wow.
We got to Florida, and Shannon said, no, I'm not boxing him. You got to be kidding. I mean, so you gotta be kidding. I ain't boxing. Jamil McCline told me, he said, listen, he said, I'll box him because you're training me. He said, but I'm letting you know right now, I do not like boxing this guy. Yeah.
Wow. 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 Really interesting stuff. Really, really interesting stuff. I'm going to ask a question here by Marky BA. It says, ask Uncle Bashir why USYK left.
I don't know. I really don't know. It could have been a business decision. It could have been the influence of other people around. I don't know. We got along very well up until that time, up until he won the championship. I don't know why he left. I don't know why. I still want to know why. You know, I still wonder why. To me, I mean, I see him every day now. It's just, to me, he acts the same way he always acted. I don't know. And I never asked because I really don't care. I really don't care at all. I just keep going.
Of course.
You can't get personal about business.
No, you can't. Business is business, pleasure, and business is business. You just got to be professional.
Yeah, I just keep going, but tell him I'm baffled. I'm as baffled now as I was then as to why. You know, he chose me coming out of the amateurs. Out of all of the trainers that in the world that he could have chosen,
he chose you.
To train him in the professional ranks. Out of all of the trainers in the world he could have chosen, he chose me. And I stayed with him for 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, he says, listen, you know, I've got to do things differently. I want to go a different road now. And he left. And I said, okay. I never questioned it. I never questioned with it. Never fell out with him about it, you know. I still get along with him pretty well, you know.
Yes.
Like I said, we see each other each day. I don't know what happened. And I can't concern myself about crying about spilled milk. It was something that happened. You move on and you try other things.
Okay. Uncle, do you have anything else you'd like to say before we finish tonight?
Tonight, this morning, man, it's 4 o'clock. It's in Ukraine. It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
It's 2 a.m. here.
It's 2 a.m.
Yes.
Well, it ain't 2 a.m. here. It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Well, we're going to let you kick on then, Uncle, and get some rest.
The entire outside of my window is dark. There's no lights at all. Nothing is moving. Nothing is moving. I don't hear nothing on the outside of nothing. I mean, when Ukraine go to sleep, Ukraine go to sleep. There's not even a car horn. There's not even a moth flying in the lights or nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing. You know?
Well, you're fortunate. I've got seagulls still singing and making noises all around me.
My goal now is to see that Serenko is my prize student, and Justin Jones. Last but certainly not least, Ivana Hobson.
Yeah, of course, Ivana.
Ivana is my pet project. I just want this fight with Cecilia Brekos so bad. I want this fight. I want to see what happens. You know, I want to see what happens when they meet.
Don't know why. I've become a huge fan of Ivana Habazan. I really love her work ethics and what she's doing. Big fan of her.
It puts like her not being able to get this Cecilia Brekos right. It puts like a strain on my relationship with her because she's so focused and she wants that fight so bad, you know. And the fact that she hasn't gotten the fight, you know, it puts like a strain on her because she just every day, I want this fight. You gotta help me make this fight. You gotta do it. I want this fight. And I'm just saying to Cecilia, because you're a great boxer. You're undefeated. You're holding all of those. You're undisputed. But I'm asking her, do you ever think about the other greats? Would Muhammad Ali turn down a challenge? No, he wouldn't, because he fought Joe Frazier 3 times. He fought Kenny Norton 3 times. He fought Henry Cooper twice. He fought Leon Spinks twice. You understand? So Muhammad Ali said, look, I'm the best, and I'm not turning down nothing but my power. Come on, let's fight. So I'm thinking, And you got a great boxer like Cecilia Redcliffe. Does she really want to be boxing without facing Evander Holyfield? Does she really want to do that? Well, because I think that is something that will come back to haunt her beautiful career. I think it's going to haunt her why she never came back to fight Evander Holyfield. Why? Is it something that she knows that we don't know? Is it something that she fears about Evander Holyfield?
She doesn't want any of it. She don't want any of that anymore. She don't want it anymore.
Huh?
She don't want that anymore. The possibility of her getting beat, I think, when she got dropped by when she got dropped in that fight and almost got KO'd, I think she became more humble. She understood that, you know, she's been dropped. The next thing is she could get knocked out and lose her titles. So I think she's been more careful.
You know, Sugar Ray Leonard came back and fought Tommy Hearns 6-7 years later, and they still made a great fight 6-7 years later. Ray Robinson fought Jake LaMotta 5 times. Why won't Cecilia come back and box Evander again?
Got to put pressure on that fight, I think. We need to put pressure on it.
I mean, she's done everything possible. It's like Cecilia doesn't want that fight. She doesn't want it. You know, and I think it's for fear. I think that psychologically she thinks that maybe this girl can beat me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to see that fight happen. I want it more for Evander than anything else because she deserves it. She works hard. She's always in the gym. She works hard. She breaks her back. Be the best out there. She really, really works hard. And I want to see her get that opportunity. Win, lose, or draw, I want her to have the opportunity. So we can go quietly into the next. Look, Cecilia gave you the rematch, and you lost again, or you won. But at least she came back and gave you the rematch. But all this praise that Cecilia is getting, she needs to come and say, look, I'm going to give Eva a rematch. I'm going to give it a rematch to prove that I am the best. I won't give it a rematch. But I don't think she thinks she's the best. That's why she won't give it a rematch. She's taking fights all around Ivana, but she won't take that fight. You know, she won't take that fight. Ivana empowers me to talk the way I'm talking now because I'm not the fighter. They are.
Yeah.
But I want any and everybody to know that my question, my motives is that Ivana gives me the authority to go at Cecilia on the interviews because she wants that fight so bad.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, Cecilia, come on out, take the fight, man. That's a fight, fans fight. It's only a fight, you know. But she won't do it.
Which is a shame. So we have to put more pressure on, Uncle.
It's a fight coming soon. You know, with the young lady out of Detroit. What's her name?
Clarissa Shields and Hammer are fighting. Who wins, by the way?
When is the fight?
Is it next week or week after next?
That should be a good fight.
Who wins?
I think Clarissa Shields wins that fight.
Okay.
But I think that Hammer is in the fight. I think she's in the fight. I think she's in that fight.
Okay.
I think she has the skills to be in that fight. But Clarissa Shields seems the more focused, the more determined, the more desirable to win that fight. And Clarissa Shields is pressing the button. She says, I'm going to prove I'm the champion. And I like it when a fighter thinks like that, when a fighter talks like that. She said, I'm going to prove the kind of champion I am in this fight. And that's powerful. When you're thinking like that, when you're talking like that, when you're acting like that, that means that usually you're going to be a good fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm longing for it. You know, I'm longing to see that fight.
Well, Well, Clarissa Shields versus Heyman's around the corner, and who knows, Ivana versus Breakers may still happen. Uncle, as always, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate you. You've given us lots to think about, to talk about amongst us in boxing circles. And any final thing to come from you?
Yeah, with Justin, I'd like Justin to be able with David Price. If David wants to fight, I mean, if he needs some work, yeah, we'd like to take that fight. You'd
like Justin Jones to fight David Price?
Yeah, or David Allen. I
don't. Or Dave Allen.
You know? And I tell you, Justin doesn't care which one of them.
What about Sam Sexton?
You know? Even Sam, that would be a good fight too.
Okay.
Those are the kind of fights those are kind of fights. They're coming off those fights. Then we can go right into another fight at a higher level, a Huey Fury, you know. But Justin needs fights to prepare him for the fights that's coming up, to warm his engines up, so to speak.
Okay.
He needs to come out of one of those fights and go right to another fight, maybe 2 months later.
Right.
So that's what we're looking to do. You know, in any other fights that's out there, those are the fights that we want to be in.
Okay.
We want to be, and a young man that beat Marius Wakane, we didn't even consider boxing him.
Oh, there you go. There's a fight that could happen. Bakole.
Yeah, I heard he's a good fighter.
Yeah, Bakole versus Jones. That's a good fight.
Yeah, I would like that fight. I don't see why Justin would turn the fight like that down. You know.
Okay. All right.
So,
let's see.
Keep your ears to the ground. Hear anything, or let us know.
I will do, Uncle. I will do.
And
thank you.
You didn't hear anything from Joey Dweco's people, did you?
Joey Dweco said that he will fight anybody, and I sent the video to.
Listen, I know Joey will fight King God. Yeah, I ain't worried about Joey. I'm worried about his brain trust. They said he wanted to fight.
Well, I've heard nothing back. I've heard nothing back from the manager yet, but as soon as I do, I'm going to let you know.
I know Joey Dweco. Joey Dweco. He wears a hard hat in his sleeve, so I know he coming to fight.
Yeah.
You know, so that didn't cross my mind. That Joey, I know what kind of person he is. He's gonna fight, and he likes to fight, and that's his profession, is fighting.
We'll have to get his manager and see what he's got to say. I'll chase up his manager this week about it.
Okie doke.
Uncle Bashir, as always, thank you so much for being on BWTM Online.
Not a problem. Always a pleasure. You know, anything I can do to contribute to the sport of boxing, I'm always here to do it. I love doing what I do. I've done it in my wildest imagination. I never thought that this profession would carry me nearly completely around the world. You know, I never thought that I'd be sitting up at 4 o'clock in the morning talking boxing in Ukraine. You know, I just never thought it. But yeah, I am, you know, loving what I do. We got one coming up, and we're going back to training on Monday.
Okay. All right.
Have a good night.
You too. Uncle, thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome. Good night.
Good night. So there you have it. We gave you a boxing special with the great Uncle James Ali Bashir. We hope you learned a lot more from the show tonight, and I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave comments, and as always, please share the video. We appreciate it. Right, I'm out of here. It's 2 a.m. in the morning, and it's late, a little later than we thought it would be, but we did it just for you boxing fans. Right, that's it. Take care. Have a great night. This has been BWTM Online.
Later than we
We're
thought
out.
it would be, but we did it just for you.
Right, that's it.